Welcome to a video about power steering installation in a 65 Mustang. And here is the diagram of how the control valve goes together for the car. And I ordered a new control valve and all new components for the car, and we're going to be assembling them. Here's what I got in the mail. Here's the control valve with two ports that connect to the power steering pump and two that connect to the power steering ram. They have it was shipped to me blocked off on this end, and then along with it came this nylon lock nut and rubber washer, which I believe are going to go down on this end. Then we have this is called the spool bolt, and to backtrack, this is actually called the adjusting nut. Okay, these pieces these are spring seats, and this is the centering spring. So the centering spring goes like that in between the two spring seats. You can see that. And then this piece, the spacer, goes in between them. Okay. This is a washer, rubber washer, that's going to go over the, the travel regulator. And then a metal washer goes over the travel regulator. And if you notice, this has threads on it, and it also has various kind of keys through it, or holes through it, that this pin can go through. And this piece, the ball stud socket, has corresponding threads to the travel regulator threads, and there's a small pin here, and you'll screw those together, and that, if you see that, there's a pair of slots there that will, you use that pin to lock it in place so it won't unscrew. Okay. The next parts are in the wrong way. So the bumper runs up against the end of this long screw, and then there's a bumper spring that goes over it, so those go together. And then we have two caps, ball stud seats, and what these do is kind of cradle the ball stud. Like that. Okay. In addition, we also have a seal for where the drag link, here's the drag link, mates with the control valve. And then we have a plastic seal and a metal housing that go over and prevent dirt from ingressing into your power steering system through the ball stud. Alright, I'm going to figure out how this all goes together. As directed by the 65 Mustang manual, you'll want to lubricate all parts with power steering fluid before installation. I am using newer power steering fluid that's of a clear type because I'm running an aftermarket pump, but if you're running a normal 65 Mustang part, I believe you want to use red ATF fluid. Now I've opened up the power steering valve assembly, and you can see the two nuts that were holding the piece of rigid cardboard on it. There's the inside of the valve assembly. It does have a rubber washer here, if you can see that could fall out. I've removed the adjustment side of the valve assembly, and there's what the far end looks like, and there's the spacer plate. We're going to begin the assembly of the drag link portion of the pressure control valve. The first thing we're going to want to do is slide one of the ball stud retainers in here. And get it to fall to the far side and have it lined up. Next, we're going to insert this whole piece into the end of the drag link. Okay, you can see that. And push that into the drag link far enough that this larger part opens here, and you can drop your ball stud into it. Okay, now put a finger in and grab the threads and pull back the other direction, and then insert the other ball stud cap with the correct orientation. Now with both ball stud caps in place, you need to install the bumper spring and the bumper behind them into the drag link. Okay. And then try to push the entire assembly as far out of the drag link as possible to expose the threads on it. The threads and the keyways. Now we'll take our long bolt with our keyway, and this keyway corresponds to this pin. This pin is going to go through this piece, and it's also going to go through this, locking them both together. So the first part is to insert the bolt through this threaded piece, having the washer and the rubber washer on it. And then what we're going to want to do is thread this into the end here. There we go. Alright, and you're going to want to tighten this down all the way. Not gorilla tight, but all the way until it bottoms out. Then you're going to want to back it up to the nearest keyway and then drive your retaining pin through. So use there's a place where you can get a wrench on here, tighten that down until it bottoms out, compressing the spring, and just back it off just enough so that you can get the pin in one of these keyway slots. So once again, I've tightened this all the way down and backed it off just one notch that has allowed the ball stud to actually be able to move, as you see there. Okay. And now to drive the pin through, you actually have to line up this bolt head, the sleeve, and the inside of the sleeve. There we go. And drive your pin through. Now I have that together. You didn't have to drive the pin through with a punch or anything. It just fell through, and then you push the assembly in, locking the pin in place. And now my bolt is locked in place so it can't turn. So now we're going to start focusing on the control valve part of the assembly. Next, we're going to install our gasket. Like that. And then we're going to mate the control valve assembly to the drag link. That bolt will go through there. Okay, and this will bolt together with these bolts here. We're now going to focus on the far end of our valve assembly. The first thing we need to install is the spacer, like so. And then on each, well, we need to install this spring here. But on each side of that, we need, since this is these are plastic bushings, we need to install a metal washer. So we put our washer on there for this side, our spring assembly on, corresponding washer, and then our nut. We'll tighten that nut down, and then we'll finish up this end of the assembly. With our rubber washer in place in the tail cap, we'll install that on this end of the control valve. Tighten these bolts up and continue on. The final step with our drag link assembly is installation of the dust cover on the ball stud. So we just go like this. Put that on there. And then there's a metal cover, and one side has smaller holes. Those are where the threads of the screws go. Here are the screws. So I'll push this down over here. There's two keyed rubber pieces on the side there, and we'll go ahead and tighten our screws up on the bottom. You'll notice in the bottom of your steering linkage there's a hole into which this grease fitting will go, and you'll just tighten that up lightly. And now you have your drag link and pressure control valve fully assembled.